Welcome into the Treehouse Football Podcast. I'd say leave your worries outside. It's time for the Treehouse, but this is not that kind of a show. This is the football version of the Treehouse Podcast, which means there's going to be a lot of sadness in here.
A little panic.
A little bit of panic and a whole lot of regret. Like going to Arizona and playing the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Cowboys instantly regretted having to do that. But you know what? We really need to give credit where credit is due, and that is not to the Cardinals. We need to give credit to our very own Raj Sharma for jinxing the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Raj,
you
look,
said it, you said it couldn't be done, and I'm sorry that I had to prove you guys wrong.
That's what I said.
Dan, I'm sorry, but I don't know that I'm going to let you off the hook with this because you were the one who absolutely stated that, do not give yourself the power of the jinx.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which that you were tempting fate with that.
Oh, so you're blaming me, and you're trying to take the credit away from Raj.
I'm laying it at both of y'all's feet.
Okay,
Wow.
so it's a team effort. Good for Team Treehouse.
Yeah, see, this is manager Trey talking.
Yeah, it really is.
This is
Trey doing the very good manager thing, spreading the blame. And not taking any of it onto himself. Trey, you're like the program director of the Treehouse Podcast.
Hey.
I will say this, like I said. Go ahead, Trey.
Dan, you're really the very, you will appreciate this, but I'm like, of the history of program directors, I love Gavin, but I'm like, this was just funnier. It's like, wow, does that make me like Bob McNeil? I was like,
that is a throwback name for anyone listening.
I'll put some glasses right here and then just leave.
All right. The very quick story, Raj. When we were back on CBS Radio on Live 105.3, which went through a few different names, but that was, we had Howard Stern in the mornings, and then we were on the Russ Martin show in the afternoon. The very first program director of that station, and that station was on the air from, I think it was like April of 2000 through December of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Bob McNeil, the original program director, had his job down to not just a science, but an art form.
Okay.
Because
I think I met him, didn't I?
I
think I did. The name sounds really familiar.
It's very possible. He came up on the show quite a bit because he was on the show quite a bit. So anyway, Bob, he was a country music programmer.
Gotcha.
And they changed his talk format, and he was just kind of like the format. He was freewheeling it and just trying to trial and error. Let's see what happens. And so when on the days that he really wasn't feeling it being work,
okay,
he would take his throwdown pair of glasses, put them on his desk, put on his normal glasses, walk out of his office, leave the door open and the light on, and then he'd get in his car and drive to a golf course and play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone at the station, however, would walk by his office, and it appears he's just left momentarily and will be back any minute.
Ah, with the glasses.
Yep.
Well played. I like his style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a fun boss. He was a really, really, really fun boss.
He was more of the management style of, Dad, don't lose the license.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly his management style. When I got Raj, you did my weekend show for many, many years. When we first got that show on the air, Bob's instructions to us were, and I quote, "Have fun, don't lose the license." There was nothing else. There was no structure guidance. There was nothing. Have fun, but don't lose the license. Got it. And off we went.
And I think that for the specific type of radio shows that both of them were, I think it made for a productive work environment as opposed to something that you would feel it was a hindrance of not having his presence.
Yes, he let you be you. He let you be creative without putting any constraints on you.
Yes. He also let Russ throw fireworks at us. So, yay.
Yeah, we were breaking the law on a daily basis. Now, I will say this. The tactic of appearing to be caring about what your team is doing.
Yeah.
That actually seems like kind of like what the Cowboys game plan was, or at least the game plan from Mike McCarthy, because he actually looked like he just set his glasses down on the desk for the week and stepped out to do whatever the hell else it was besides appearing to get the team ready for a game in Arizona. Now let's get back to whether or not we need to change the name of this show. And maybe we do. Maybe we do need to change the name of this show from the Treehouse Football Podcast to We Jinx Dem Boys.
I like it. And first of all, Trey, I'm not going to let you steal this moment from me. I would like to thank everybody that didn't believe it was possible for me to jinx an entire team of adults. And I did. I said by name who I thought was looking great and was back in the mix and ready to take on the season. I said his name. I said Trayvon Diggs. And I do recall seeing the alert on my phone and texting one Daniel O'Malley and saying, "You didn't think I could do it, did you?"
You son of a bitch.
Trayvon Diggs out at practice.
It's amazing. The next damn day, the day that Raj says he's looking good, I don't want to jinx it. They're looking good, I don't want to jinx it. The very next day, Trayvon Diggs ACL snaps.
Yep,
and then come time for the game in Arizona, and your jinx, Raj, has seemingly spread like a virus through the team and managed to take out 3 of the 5 offensive line starters.
Correct.
I still felt very confident going into that game without Trayvon Diggs. Still confidence very high. But once I saw in the pregame that 3 of the 5 starting offensive linemen, including Zach Martin, were out or questionable, that was when I started to get concerned.
Yeah. I knew what was going to happen with that, and it happens with a lot of teams, is a leader and an incredible player like Trayvon Diggs gets hurt, and they lose, and they pin it on that particular person being gone. Well, the secondary wasn't ready. The team, whatever it is, team morale, secondary is not ready. Whatever it is, they're going to go, well, without Trayvon Diggs there. I've heard this so many times in the last week.
Really?
Like, well, Trayvon Diggs was out. I'm like, yeah, but he's one dude.
Like, you're talking about just people just talking in general, not people that actually know what they're talking about.
Correct. Just overhearing people talking about the Cowboys, and it's like, well, they didn't have Diggs, and I'm like, well, that's correct. And
okay, look, I understand they didn't have Diggs, and if you were facing an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or something, or possibly what appears to be Jordan Love in Green Bay, those lucky Packers. But in reality, if you're playing against a Patrick Mahomes and you get lit up in the secondary, then you can say, well, you know what? If Trayvon Diggs is in the game, we're talking about a different outcome possibly. Right. Whereas when it's rocket scientist Josh Dobbs and 0-2 Arizona Cardinals, whose main objective at the end of this season is to secure the first pick in next year's NFL draft.
Yeah.
It ain't on the fact that Trayvon Diggs didn't play. Now, if you want to skew some and say, hey, you had 3 out of 5 offensive linemen not playing, including one guaranteed Hall of Famer in Zach Martin and possibly another Hall of Famer in Tyron Smith. Yeah, you could point to and say, see, that's a major problem. That could be why they were not successful in Arizona. But when you actually watch the game, Cowboys didn't lose that game because they had a majority of backups on the offensive line. They lost the game because they sucked.
Yeah, it looked like it reminded me of the Quincy Carter days of the Cowboys. And here's why. Here's hold on, no. Here's why. Because I used to own a nightclub in Deep Ellum called Chrome. And a couple of those guys would come in, and I'd see them. I'm the owner of the club. I would go over and hug them, and give everybody
them free
love,
drinks,
and that they would always pay. I would give them the VIP lounge for free, and there was many a night that I went, "Isn't today Saturday?" And I go, "Oh, they have a game tomorrow." And I remember there was one specific game where I was just
to get loose for pregame.
Yeah, I remember there was one where Quincy Carter had 4 interceptions in one game, and I was like, I know why. Like, that's called hungover. And they look like, I saw some of their faces. I'm like, did they get to Arizona early? Like, because Arizona is a great part, like Phoenix, Tempe, that's a great Flagstaff. Like, all of that's a great party town. Like they have fantastic nightlife. I'm like, did they get there a day early and nobody said go to bed at 10? Like, I don't know what happened.
Oh, they'll tell them those things, and they'll have the team meeting the night before. We're on the road. They're at the team hotel and all those things. And well, that doesn't necessarily mean they follow it, or that also doesn't mean that they didn't bring in the evening's entertainment to the rooms.
Okay, I don't know how it works. I'm just like, some of them will just look like, I'm like, man, that guy looks hungover. Like that's how they were playing.
I like Dan's, the thought of the fact that Mike McCarthy may have just put his glasses on the desk and been like, "Whoa, crap, we're 2-0. Hey, well, let's take a break. Let's go party."
and that's all I've seen on ESPN News is like, was this just a bad game, or is this a bad sign overall for the remainder of the season? I think 3 games
yes.
in, that's you would think so. Okay, I would. I mean,
no. The only reason I say yes to that, as far as a bad sign, is because that's what we've seen from Cowboys teams for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but like the ones that were supposedly good, they'd be really good, and then they'd have a showing like this one, and then now you don't know which team you have. You don't know which team is going to show up. It's the bipolar Cowboys.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, is it presumptuous to go, well, we're 3 games in, the season's over. I'm like, well, let's hold on. Let's see what they do, like what adjustments made. I think they walked into Arizona with, we got this. I know we got a couple of hurt people. We don't have to try that hard, so let's not overextend anybody else because we have people that are out. So let's just play like we got this. And then I think by the time it hit them, oh, we don't got this, it was way too late.
Yeah.
And it was evident because you can see when people are trying to play, when they're playing catch up. You can tell, like, you can see like the panic on the sidelines. And once you see that, even as a spectator, especially the opposing team, like, we got them. Look at them on their heels now because they weren't expecting this. And the Cardinals needed some sort of boost to get people to come back to watch games that aren't season ticket holders.
Well, that's the other thing. Just a quick point in there is, like, when the Cowboys go to Arizona has no problem selling tickets because they have a huge mass of Cowboys fans in there. And as you watching the game, you saw just, I'd say a quarter to a third of the people in the stands are wearing Cowboy stuff. Trey, what was it you were going to say?
Oh, I mean, I was just going to say that with the NFL, it's the tendency is to have these, big overreactions of, oh my God, we're a dumpster fire. When in point of fact, there's so much parity that they could come out this weekend and kill the Patriots and all is well. Like,
that's very true. I heard someone say before, and this is absolutely accurate, how as Cowboys fans, we live and die week to week. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's exclusive to us as Cowboys fans, but we seem to own it a little bit more than others. Like, if you're a Browns fan and you lose a game like this, you're like, okay. Whereas as a Cowboys fan, especially ones that were alive and watching the 90s Cowboys, our highs are really high and our lows are really low. We need some type of pill to, even us out.
That's funny that you mentioned that. There was I saw a clip of a meteorologist doing the weather, and he said the hot temperature this week will peak in the 90s, much like the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I was
at the same time, you can't be mad at it because it's accurate.
It was good. I wanted to hate the guy, and I don't know what city it was in, but I wanted to hate the guy, and I was like, thinking like on your feet like that was clever. Like, I got to give you credit for that. And it has been every season is now we have the right people in place. So when we got Dak and Zeke, okay, we got them. This is going to be the guys that are going to take us to now it's every season is like, who do we have now that's going to be the 3, the triplets or whatever slogan or whatever moniker you want to give it. Now we have to find that every season. And then it's a letdown because, oh my God, we had so much success in the 90s and then now we don't. And, I don't want to think that one game like this could end it, but I mean, morale wise, just being in town after that game and just, but Trey knows as well, just listening to people talk about it, especially ESPN when they're like, "Is it over?" I'm like, "Did anybody see Denver play? Did anybody want to talk about Denver giving up 70 points?"
I'm
like,
so glad you brought that up, because
No.
that actually made me feel a little bit better, knowing that at least we didn't get blown out and had 70 points hung up on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also makes you feel worse because Miami was a dumpster fire a couple of years ago, and right now, I mean, if you want to have overreaction, it's like I would put the Eagles and the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, and I don't.
You shut up, Trey Trenholm.
Wow.
But if you want to talk about the two best, like of what I've seen, especially the Dolphins are scary good. Like their speed is unbelievable. They're fun to watch. I never thought I'd say that about Miami Dolphins, but. I mean, I didn't really think Tua was that good, but even he looks really good. And then
he looks great when he's not concussed for most of the season. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but it's like, yeah, his receivers are so fast and he gets the ball out quickly. Then it does bring up the eternal question of the Cowboys of, is Dak the man, or is he a great quarterback? Is he just a good quarterback?
He is the quintessential embodiment in one player of the story of the Cowboys over the last 30 years. And unwittingly, the person who would have had that before him was Tony Romo. And that is, you've got two guys that are capable of some amazing things and have done some amazing things. But at the end of the day, they still have nothing to show for it. And sometimes they can be a detriment to their team. And there's a specific version of Dak Prescott that I hate. I really hate seeing it. And that is wide mouth Dak. When Dak Prescott in a game like the one in Arizona on Sunday is looking around with his mouth open, like he's looking for he's looking for a lure. And he looks lost, as if someone pulled him out of a pond, dropped him in the middle of an NFL stadium and say, play quarterback, and he was a fish 5 minutes earlier. He's hey, what's going on? Football. Stop it. Now, keeping in mind, that's wide mouth Dak. Then there's killer Dak.
Yeah.
Then there's Dak who's like focused, he's got his game face on, and he's screaming, let's effing go, and then they do it. Whenever I see wide mouth Dak, my stomach starts to turn, and I feel like there's a baby bass somewhere who's missing daddy.
That's the panic that I'm talking about, when you can look on the sidelines and you see their faces. You can't hide that. Like back in the day, the camera angles and they wouldn't zoom in, whatever it was. Now, I mean, they're up close and personal, and they've got so much technology to where you can see like individual players and their reactions to certain things. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they look scared and they look like they don't know what they're doing. The difference with the thing that I didn't like about Tony Romo was the aw shucks Romo, where he would throw an interception, be like, dad damn it, and like slap his knee and then just hop off. I'm like, he didn't have that. I knew we weren't going to the Super Bowl with Romo. I knew that for a fact. He didn't have that killer, let me get in the huddle and yell at these people as my teammates, as their leader, to take this to the next level of play that they're capable of.
He was more the guy that you wanted at the party.
Yeah.
As opposed to, leading you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's like a cool youth pastor. You know what I mean? He's like, I know y'all said last night, but here's
and in another lifetime, he probably was. Like if Tony Romo was to be dropped into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he probably would be a really cool youth pastor in one of those other universes.
Yeah, like I wanted to.
But
like,
do you think, Raj, that in one of those other universes he would have won a Super Bowl, or still zero?
I mean, I don't know which universe that would be. I just didn't.
Ours, obviously, because he's gone now. But
yeah, he just didn't have that. But if you watch him do the color commentary, like he's a clinical genius. Like he's calling plays before the ball snap, and everybody that works with him is like, "Well, you were right again, Tony." He's like, "I know, I'm this good," and his quarterback ranking was amazing. But he just didn't have that thing. Aikman had it. Aikman had that thing.
I'm going to murder you in your sleep to win this game.
That is exactly what it is. Like, you don't win this. We don't win this today. You die. And we were like, all right, I think he's drunk and serious. Like,
and everyone else on the sidelines telling all the other players, go like, Troy will find you.
Yeah, he knows where we all live. Like, he asked for addresses at the beginning of the season. I thought that was weird. Like, you know what I mean?
It wasn't for Christmas cards.
You're listening to The Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Welcome back into the Treehouse Football Podcast. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm and Raj Sharma. Before we skip ahead and start thinking about the Patriots this weekend at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, let's finish up dogpiling on the Cowboys' effort in Arizona. I would like to take, outside of giving our show too much credit on jinxing them boys, which we may or may not have done. I need to say that I am actually very impressed about something the Cowboys did on Sunday in Arizona, and that was lay such a massive turd on the field in Arizona that tens of thousands of people showed up to see it. And then millions more around the world turned on their televisions to also see this massive turd in the middle of Arizona, and a football game happened around it.
Yes.
That was extremely impressive on the Cowboys' part. Because I know a lot of times, like on sports shows, after a game, especially after a bad loss, and that's all losses are bad, but sometimes when it's against a team that on paper and in your heart, you know you should have won, but you don't, it's a bad loss. That being said, those shows will say, all right, look, it was bad, but what's a silver lining? What was something positive you could take out of the game? Mine was, well, at least the Cowboys are back to being regular.
Okay. We're striving for mediocrity.
Well, you know what? When I guess what happened in the first 2 weeks, it made us feel good because they put up, 70s, or they put up a ton of points in the first two games. The defense looked phenomenal, and then they show up in Arizona and just drop a massive turd in the middle of the stadium and called it a day. And that's kind of infuriating. But as Cowboys fans, we're kind of used to it.
Yes, and I did end Trayvon Diggs' season, and I feel terrible for it. And I would like to offer the jinxing power that I clearly have to, like, let's say to New England that's coming up. What should I mention for them that I jinx New England now? Let's just see if it works. If we mention, just give me one specific person from New England that we can say, you know what, I will. He's looking really good, and that's the jinx. And if it does happen, you'll know.
So I would like to stop you there. I don't want us to wish any injury or anything like that on the part of any player. No. So the name I'm going to give you, Raj, that I would like for you to jinx is Bill Belichick for this week. Okay. So the Cowboys take on the Patriots at home.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick has recently found himself single. And I don't think there's anything more dangerous in the NFL than a Bill Belichick with too much free time.
Yeah. I mean,
because when Bill Belichick has that much free time to game plan or steal your playbook or, videotape your practices, whatever it is, that man needs a distraction. So what I would like for you to do, Raj, is to wish a girlfriend upon Bill Belichick to distract him properly against this Cowboys team.
I think he's, as a human being, has turned a corner, and love will find him shortly.
He had
my heart is full.
He had a woman. he had a woman when they were winning. Actually, I would say I jinx them and wish Mac Jones good health.
All right. I want him to stay as healthy as he possibly can as he makes his way to AT&T Stadium to play our Dallas Cowboys. I wish him nothing but health and prosperity. Let's see.
Trey, you may be my evilest of friends. Like at this point, I don't think that you were ever a real estate agent or a radio host and producer in your career. I don't think that you are a service industry manager. I think in your real life, I think you live at the Continental down the hall from John Wick. And you find joy in ending people while telling them, I wish you nothing but the best.
I like how he's getting blamed for it, and I'm the jinxer. This is fantastic. Keep it up.
I think actually is really good. I think we have something we can really build on here, which is we use Raj's face and Trey's words.
Yes.
To just absolutely demolish whatever the target is for that week against the Cowboys. So maybe for this week in Mac Jones, we release a photo of Mac looking great, throwing a football. He's not broken or in a car crash or anything like that on the field. But then a quote from Trey that says, "We here at the Treehouse Football Podcast wish you nothing but the best."
Yes. Yeah.
Good health and happiness.
Yeah. And may Belichick find the one love of his life.
Yeah. But Trey, you're right. I know Belichick had his woman there for many, many years, even when they were winning. But that was a long-term relationship. She knew the deal. He had laid down the lines like, look, I got to do football and stuff. So she didn't distract him as much as one could have. Now, if you drop a new girlfriend in his lap, that's saying, you know what, you're great. You don't need to spend an extra 2 hours analyzing the game plan. Let's go have a drink. Let's go get some dessert. Let's go. Let's go meet my family.
Or maybe Robert Kraft is like, hey, you look tense. Come with me and get a massage. And
only thing I don't want to see is all of a sudden Belichick has a new girlfriend and he wears number 12.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
That's a relationship that I don't want to see backslide. Because that would be bad for everybody.
Yeah. Although hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes for a great rom-com script.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that first game when they retired Tom Brady's number. Belichick. It's like every relationship. You may have parted ways and it wasn't great, but all of a sudden you look back and go, "Man, those are good times." She looks good.
No, you're right. And what's the other thing that they're thinking? Man, that sex was great.
How about just one more time?
I would like to make this. I would like to make this idea possible for ABC. Maybe next year's Golden Bachelor, Bill Belichick.
I'm both intrigued and horrified. Because on one hand, I would watch that. On the other hand, he is not going to hold back on telling those chicks why he's not having them on his team.
No, he'll get a PowerPoint presentation, some pointers. You did this wrong. You moved wrong here. You didn't. I told you to follow the play. No audibles. Follow the play.
I'm going to need you to grab your playbook and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what he hands out instead of roses as playbooks. That would be great.
Yeah. You're still on the team.
Uh-huh.
He just narrows it down to 12. That's it. Just 11 and a backup. There we go.
And then you know how they like to have the big shocker. Then the shocker when the X returns, and then Tom Brady comes walking in.
I would watch this.
Yes, they always got to drop that twist on you.
Uh-huh.
All right, I feel like that's a pretty solid preview of Cowboys Patriots this Sunday. Now listen.
I do have one Cowboys question though.
All right.
Has it turned out, and I don't know if it is scheme or just personnel, but Cowboys backup running back might be the best job in sports in the NFL for a running back. Because it seems like, however, I don't know. Like I said, Pollard last year with Zeke, great. This year, But then what's a Deuce? That's the guy's name. Deuce Vaughn. I think.
I was really hoping you were going to say Bigelow.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
But
that would have been right in Trey's wheelhouse of misplacing hosts and names of things in different places.
I still laugh at that.
And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's scheme or personnel, and how they use the starter versus the backup, but it seems like that is a sweet spot.
Well, you say that, but I mean, Pollard actually had himself a decent day.
Yeah, but I just
he actually had a really good day statistically. They just didn't get the win.
He just doesn't seem as explosive as he was.
Oh,
at least to me.
I disagree completely. I think I hesitate.
And again, and maybe it's because it was so frustrated with Zeke that you saw him and it was like, oh, that's great. And now it's like, I don't know.
It may also be a compare contrast type of thing. Because last year when you have Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, it really was like a thunder lightning thing. Like when Tony Pollard comes in and he's flying down the field, and then Zeke comes back in and it looks like his like he's running in peanut butter, then that's an easy contrast to make. Whereas now it's mainly Tony Pollard, and you don't have someone stuck in peanut butter in front of him.
But do you also think it could be this because it is the NFL and the average shelf life of a running back is about 4 years, and 2 of that is spent trying to get your contract, trying to make that money. That once they do, if you look at Zeke, I mean, he got paid big off the jump, but when he wanted to get his money, he was playing with that fire and that passion for the game, then got that check and was like, you know what, I only have a certain amount of life left as a player before, something catastrophic could happen, or I have to go off and retire or whatever. So let me make my money now. And Pollard did the same thing. I don't know because there is that thing in the NFL where the owners of the team look at running backs as a very, very, disposable commodity, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know what?
And also the major theme you're talking about, Raj, is one has plagued sports now since the free agent era entered into all those sports, which is you're in a contract year. Players in a contract year sure do seem to really play with a chip on their shoulder, and because you're going to get that bag. Yeah. And then after they sign the big contract, then it might be just because it's tainted now because they've signed their big contract, and if they don't have the same results, then you're like, oh well, now they're just slacking because now they got paid,
or they just don't want to get hurt because that is that position.
And there's also that, and those are all legitimate things that could be true. I think at the end of the day, it depends on the individual. It depends on the individual player. If like you're really going to have one out. I swear to God, I talk for a living. You're going to have one of 2 types, typically. You're going to have a player that's going to go get that money, and then when they get that money, now they're going to tap the brakes a little bit and say, I have a life after football I've got to think about, and I have security and all these types of things. And now that I've got it, I'm still going to try, but it's not going to be at the same level. The other type is, now that I got my money, now I'm going to go show you why you should give me more of it, or I'm going to show you now that you've done this. Now I don't have to worry about money, and I can focus now on killing all of my enemies, sort of that Tom Brady mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I wish...
And I think you can have both.
Yeah, I just wish there was more of the latter, right? When it comes to... Just across the board on all NFL teams, like I see it, where you're exactly right, where they're fighting for that season, their contract season, and they get that money, and it's like, okay, cool now. I got it. Now I can take a breather. The guy who's behind me, let him work a little bit harder now because he's got to get his money too. And then that's that trickle down, like domino effect. Like the guy behind me's got to get his money too. So I'm going to pump the brakes on his and let him shine for a minute.
So Trey, did kind of answer your question? I don't know. Because on one hand, because on one hand, I can tell you this. Zeke had some plays that I guarantee you that they would not call for Pollard, and vice versa. Like, there are plays that they would put in the game plan or in the playbook for Tony Pollard, but would say, you know what, this would not be as successful with Zeke. So this is more of a Tony run type of a deal. I'm certain that happens. But both running backs should be able to execute the same core running plays that you have in your book. And then sometimes there's other outside influences affecting your performance in a game, like whether or not Raj has, jinxed you or not.
Yeah.
But I will say there was one player that we talked about in our previous football episode, and that was Travis Kelce. And the Treehouse jinx has not affected him one bit, because last week we're talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce from the Chiefs quietly hanging out was the story. Well, quietly hanging out escalated really quickly, as Ron Burgundy would say, to Taylor Swift in the booth with Mama Kelce.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a leap, going from quietly hanging out to here's mom.
Does she is she working on a new album? What's going on? Like, because everybody's like, well, what if Travis Kelce marries Taylor Swift? I'm like, really? You think? Because she's got a killer track record of doing this, and then the breakup, and then phenomenal music.
And then Grammys follow.
Yeah, that's exactly, from Mama to Grammys. It was a great, optics wise, it looked fantastic. It was very wholesome. There's my mom, and they're high fiving, and everybody's loving the game. And Mahomes threw him a touchdown at the end that you could clearly see. He's like, "Hey man, my girl's in the bot up there. Can you throw me something?" He's like, "I got you." And did that.
And then the huddling, the play call was all right. It's Swifty on 2, ready, break.
Yes, but there are internet conspiracy theories going on. So if you look at the lineup from the Eagles standpoint, like the way it was lined up, it was Kelce, right, his brother, Jalen Hurts, and the running back Swift. So it says Kelce, Hurts, Swift. So that's the new conspiracy theory, is that there is like that. I'm telling you, I watched, I saw it.
So what's the theory?
Is that it's Kelce's doing this to hype himself up, and he's going to break Taylor Swift's heart. The Swiftie conspiracy theories are going. Don't trust Travis Kelce there, because he's going to Kelce hurt Swift.
Kelce seems like a fairly intelligent guy, and
does he? Does he really? And please. How?
I mean, if you're comparing all-time great tight ends from a mental standpoint, yeah, I'd put him above Gronkowski, but that's not exactly a high bar.
Oh,
Gronk. All right, I guess that's the bar. So he
Kelce looks like a road scholar.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a polar bear out there playing tight end. But I mean, the brothers seem fairly media savvy and everything else. You have to know the last person you really want to try to screw over, and you have to go into this with some trepidation of, if you do break up, you're going to get just crucified by the Swifties, by the next album.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and it hasn't hurt Jake Gyllenhaal at all. So he's doing okay. Like he just may not have the fan base with the Swifties that he had while they were together. But again, it does. The jersey sales went up 400%, which is impressive. The outfit that he was wearing when they walked out, what
was that, by the way? Was that like a 21st century picnic table cloth combo?
I looked it up because so what that company did in a moment of absolute genius, because their album is titled 1989. They slapped 1989 on the back of that jacket. And originally it was just the way it looked like with Travis Kelce wearing it. They went and overnight put 1989 on the back of the jacket, and it sold out completely within hours. And then, like I said, the Travis Kelce jerseys up 400%. Now they have their own merch. Like, people are on Etsy designing things. Like, Swifties are on their Etsy accounts making Kelce Swift T-shirts and jerseys and things like that. So, I mean, she does. I mean, boost the economy for whoever.
Everything she touches.
It's amazing. You know,
she's she's one of the few things that can actually put more people in an NFL stadium than the NFL team.
Yeah, that was the one meme that I saw that was really great. Is like, when Travis Kelce was inviting her to the game, was like, why don't you come to the stadium? It's going to be totally sold out. And she goes, yeah, I know. I did that twice by myself.
But it's cute that you and 46 of your dressed out friends are going to
sell it out too with the opposing team people as well. So yeah, I mean, I wish the best for them both. I mean, I think that's great. If
Holy
it
shit.
Is, yeah, man. I mean, that's cool.
You're putting the Raj Jinx in.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not in 10. No,
are you now already stealing my lane of? Oh no, I wish them the best.
No. I mean, if it works out, that'd be what a great story. Like, she's this pop princess, and he's a great, talented football player, and it's very high school, like the homecoming king and the homecoming queen kind of thing. That'd be that's a great story. It's a great fairy tale kind of romance.
So like the American version of the Beckhams.
Yeah, I mean the kind of. I mean, like, yeah, I guess you could call it that, but that'd be kind of cool and good for them if that works. I just look at
with a slightly more wholesome feeling.
Yeah, and Travis Kelce's voice actually matches his face. So that's if you ever heard David Beckham talk, you're like, how is it? It's like the first time you heard Mike Tyson talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just see this beast in front of him. It's like, so what do you think you did to your opponent? I took him to school this day. And you're like, oh no, that's not how he's supposed to talk.
Well, funny you mentioned that because that's also people's reactions to when they heard Patrick Mahomes talk.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my god, did someone dub Kermit the Frog's voice into Patrick Mahomes' body?
But no, I mean, that would be kind of a fun, cool story. I just look at her track record is such where it always seems like these really high profile romances and everything's going great. And the minute it gets too serious, she bails out and writes an album about how brokenhearted she is. It was like Adele. Like, Adele did the same thing for her first couple albums, to the point where when she announced she was pregnant, I posted a joke on Facebook that got a lot of grief because all of her songs are so sad. I was like, she's pregnant. That baby's never going to stop crying. Just listening to, and then she's all happy now. And you're like, okay, you got your residency in Vegas. You got your guy. Everything's happy. No new music.
Yeah.
So what has to happen now? And so
sadness breeds creativity.
Absolutely.
That was you talk about the worst. Most people don't know it, but the worst one of all of them was the No Doubt, because Gwen Stefani dated the guitarist, and that Tony whole album is about their breakup.
Yeah,
and like not only it's number one, everything else, but then for the next 5 years you're touring, and every night you're just getting pounded with that.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, for my people, we're just like, oh, an Indian guy was banging Gwen Stefani. All right, dude, good.
Maybe that's the reason why Trey he was able to swallow all that crap from the album being sung about him as he's playing back up to Gwen Stefani, is like Raj is saying, it's like, yeah, but I got her.
Yeah. Take that, Gavin Rossdale from Bush. This album's about me.
It is kind of an interesting thing, though, when you have a leg up and you get to go to a Gavin Rossdale type and say, how do you like my sloppy seconds?
I would just autograph the album and give it to him. Like, here you go, buddy. That's all about me, by the way. But yeah, I mean, good luck. I would love to see nothing more than, I mean, just think about how lucky that family is. Like, you got 2 kids in the NFL, and then one could possibly date the world's biggest pop star. That's, I don't know if you buy a lottery ticket or if you just wait for the lottery to come to you at that point. Like, I don't know how that works.
At that point, I mean, if you're Mama Kelsey, are you actually still going out and buying scratchers? I mean, both
you
your
might
kids,
as well.
Both of your kids are millionaires in the NFL. They're great at what they do, and at the prospect of having your daughter-in-law being one of the most popular and wealthiest artists in the world, I mean, why would you? Why are you going to the gas station?
I'm just saying, there is, for every, good thing that happens, he's already come out when he was on his brother's podcast saying, now the paparazzi are outside, international paparazzi is outside of my house now. I had a bit of a personal life. Now I don't. This is just from yesterday. So he's already got now I don't have a personal life. I don't have this. I don't have that. because when you're Travis Kelce and you're in Kansas City, it's cool. You can still go places. Yeah, there's going to be a mob, but it's cool. Like you can still sign autographs and they'll throw you some free crap or whatever. Now you've just taken it to international level of superstardom. And
he needs to, and this is an important lesson for him to learn because Travis Kelce's still in his 20s, isn't he? Late 20s, I think.
Yeah.
So this is an important lesson for every 20-something to learn, and that is there are consequences. There are consequences to when you punch out of your weight class,
or in the football terms, when you outkick your coverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he's clearly done. So
he's done. It's like it's one thing to be one of the best tight ends in the game and thinking, you know what, that's not enough. It's trying to try my foot at kicking. Because if the kicker for the Chiefs comes over to you after the game is like, good on you, bro. You're like, I can kick a 70-yard field goal, but you. Yeah. Taylor Swift wearing your jersey up there standing next to your mom.
Yeah, I mean, good on him. And he tried. I like the balls he played that he made when he went to her concert and gave her, because the whole friendship bracelet thing. If you guys didn't pay attention, he was wearing hers in the game. He was wearing a friendship bracelet that she does. He gave her one with his phone number on it.
The only thing that was missing after his touchdown, was him actually throwing up the heart hands towards her.
That would have been good. Oh yeah, you should have been on the PR team for that.
I'm available, people.
Bill Belichick's calling you right now.
Yeah.
I would pay money to see Bill Belichick throwing heart hands up towards anybody. Although, wait, I think there's one person we can agree on who that would be. Be sure to follow all things Treehouse at treehouseonair.com. Follow us on social media at Treehouse On Air. For me, it's at the Dan O'Malley. For Trey, at Trey Trunholm1. And for Raj, it's at Comedian Raj. Be sure to like, follow, share all things Treehouse. And be sure, speaking of share, to tell a friend to watch, listen, subscribe, stalk, whatever it is, all things Treehouse. Treehouseonair.com. We'll see you next time in the Treehouse.
See ya.
See ya.